Very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to uLaw's webinar. In today's webinar, we're going to be specifically focusing on the analytics, insights, and the reporting capabilities that the uLaw product provides our clients, and how you could consume and how you can maneuver through the uLaw product to actually consume these reports. And the analytics is going to be a majority of what we're going to be showcasing in today's webinar. Today's webinar, again, is not accredited for any CPD credits. We do have other CPD sessions planned for the month. We, in fact, did have a CPD session the previous week, which is recorded and available on our YouTube channel, which we highly encourage you to subscribe to so that you can always be notified when we have new CPD sessions being presented. Once again, I repeat, today's webinar is not accredited for any CPD credits, but I'm hoping today's webinar will be a very interactive, more in line with demonstrating the capabilities rather than just slide share. So hopefully we can make this as meaningful as possible for your time. Once again, housekeeping, kindly use the chat window that we've provided to ask any questions that you may have pertaining to today's webinar. We have our support staff online who can answer those questions. If you are using the computer's audio, again, our recommendation is to use the phone numbers that have been provided with all of the local numbers for you across Canada so that you can dial in to the number for a much better audio quality. Like every other uLaw webinar, today's webinar has a very specific agenda. We're going to talk about how we use the different tools, including the analytics, insights, and the reporting capabilities to provide you with the information, how we take the data that you provided and how we've crunched it to provide you with the information that you need and the 360-degree vision of your business, not only from a revenue, but also from an expense standpoint, and a lot of the nuances around these categories that really allows you to make informed, meaningful business decisions to put yourself ahead of the curve, improve upon being a business owner, of course, take more profit in your business. And the reason why we're doing this is because there's a lot of data that our clients are entering into the uLaw product. The uLaw product, as you know, is a legal accounting system, a practice management software, as well as a business accounting software. So our clients use it not only to docket their time and effort to disperse, create clients matters, generate invoices, but they also use it to keep tab of time through the practice management. They use it as a tickler system, time management, but they also use it as a full-fledged business accounting software, similar to QuickBooks or Xero, where they enter all of their office expenses, whether it's manually entered or imported from a bank statement. There's, of course, many tools to facilitate faster data entry. But at the end of the day, the data is available. But given the fact that all that data is available, not all of the clients have the right tools to crunch this data to provide you with meaningful information. For example, questions like, what was the highest revenue for this particular month? Which particular client has the highest disbursement that have not yet been recovered? An important set of questions that you may have that can help you take quick actions. What we've done is, because we have the data, through the capability of these analytics and reporting tools, we're providing you a window to see the answers for all these questions that you have in your mind. So we're analyzing all of your customer data, we're analyzing all of your accounting data, and merging them to give you a 360 view of your business data that makes meaning sense by date range, by a certain category, whatever may be the specifics or the nuances of what exactly that you're looking for. Okay? And the whole point of giving you these tools is whether you do this due diligently on a daily basis or whether you do it on a weekend, on a bi-weekly basis, of course, based on your comfort, you are able to have a better insight into your own business. Okay? And we're providing all of this at no additional cost within the same subscription fee that you pay on a month-on-month or yearly for the uLaw product. We just want our customers and anyone who's looking to explore legal accounting practice management software to have a preview of the capabilities that are already in the software that you should try and maximize. Now, across all the clients that we have and we serve and the various nuances of their practice areas, the one specific area we've seen a lot of questions being asked where the analytical engine that runs behind uLaw sees the most hit is around the file or the matter itself. All of the information pertaining to the matter. And we see this because a majority of our clients are small business sole practitioners, and they actually need to be provided with just-in-time information to make immediate, quick decisions pertaining to all of the active files that they're working on a day-to-day basis. So you're going to see as we progress through today's webinar and as I showcase a lot of the capabilities, a lot of the analytics, a lot of the tools, and how we represent this data is geared towards that small practitioner, the solo practitioner, and the small business owner, and how across, whether you're a 10 to 12 member small to medium law firm, if you're a single sole practitioner, we provide you the capabilities of a large law firm to provide you with those answers that are important to you on a periodic basis. And how do we provide these visualizations across the software? Now, with the inclusion of the mobile platform that we've invested in, we now have two different form factors across how we represent data to you. One is, of course, the full-fledged web version of it, and then we have our mobile app that you can download both on your iOS and Android, which is, in fact, better suited for quick, fast, just-in-time information, whether that's through a tabular data form, whether that's pie chart, bar graphs. In fact, we've now invested in providing you with a Q&A format. So almost simple answers in English that we provide you to the questions that we think you should be asking. And the questions change based on the context of where this particular analytical engine is being invoked. Is this a question around the client? So if you are looking for a fee book, what is exactly that you're looking for with regards to a client? How much of money does this client owe me? How much of money has this client invested so far in trust funds with me? How much is still left in the trust funds? Questions such as those in the Q&A format, making it easier for you, for others in your firm to appreciate and understand the storyline behind the answers to these questions, okay? Making it easier for them to really understand the context of the client, the matter, and the overall business data. So those are the four various formats in which we're able to provide you information depending on your style. Of course, you can utilize any of those four formats to consume that data. And before I jump into the actual demo of the analytics, just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of some of the key areas that we see analytics performing for your firm and for your business. Of course, right at the top of the bat, you have your revenue and your expense. The two top questions and the data points that every business, regardless of whether it's legal or otherwise, has to ask them. And very important from a legal standpoint, from a legal business standpoint, because you have the added responsibility of also dealing with reimbursable expenses, such as the disbursements, right? The disbursements is something that's very specific to the legal business, where you pay for the expenses on behalf of a client's file or a matter, and it becomes a recoverable expense, but it still needs to be managed. So it's kind of an added responsibility, if you will. Things of nature of fee book, expense book. Of course, you have all of this in the form of a reporting that's a totally added avatar of all this data. So though we also have the same documents pertaining to the data and behind it in the format as required by the jurisdictional law society compliance documents that mandate how you represent that data in a specific format, in a specific order of columns being arranged. So in fact, to give you a holistic view, uLaw provides you 5 different formats in which you can consume data. One, of course, is for the compliance nature, where you can generate these reports in PDF. And of course, we looked at the other 4 being tabular data, bar graph, pie chart, and the Q&A. We also give you important insights into questions like pro bono by client. You know, which client has really enjoyed the most of my Good Samaritanship? Where have I provided most of my pro bono? How is it comparing with the legal time that I'm actually billing? So you may have a certain policy within your business, your firm, that says, you know what, I have to curtail my overall pro bono to about 10% or 5% of my overall revenue or my time spent in a month. So it makes it easier for you to assess how you're doing based on the insights that we provide you. Okay? Capital investments. Every law firm, especially the sole business, you start off with investing your own money into the business. And if you're doing so, you have, of course, have to keep asking the question, how much of money have you infused into the business? And if you're drawing out of the business, and if you're taking that money back, whether it's in the form of capital withdrawals, or whether you're just drawing based on the different investment companies that have invested in your firm, or partners in the firm, then we have the information to provide you back as those activities and as those transactions and all that data is being recorded by the uLaw product. Okay, so we're certainly going to start looking at the key aspects of the different areas where the analytics makes most sense. And truly, the purpose of building this new engine, the analytical engine, if you will, was to empower the small, medium firms and small practitioners, solo practitioners especially. We wanted to empower them with the power of a large law firm. It's no rocket science. It takes time, effort, and a lot of crunching of data. Often law firms, and even if you take large businesses, of course they deal with a lot more transactions, a lot more data, but they do have dedicated staff. They may have dedicated machines, hardware, software that allows them, expensive software at it, that gives them the ability to do all that crunching for them. And it gives that final business owner a report with how exactly the business is performing so that she or he can actually make a quick decision about where they want to make an investment next. It's a very similar outlook that we want to provide that solo practitioner. Because if we empower the solo practitioner, then they're spending lesser time in managing their business, they're learning from how they're doing, and actually investing their time to raise the bar to grow their business. Okay? And that was pretty much it for my slide share. It was probably the fastest slide share that I've done in a very long time. And for those who are joining us today who really don't know much about the product, the company, We're a Canadian company based out of Ottawa, and we've been in business over 10 years. We recently were nominated for the last 3 years by the Canadian Lawyer magazine, and we're very proud to have come out victorious as winners in all those 3 years as specific categories around legal accounting, practice management for the legal business. What we do is we offer legal accounting, practice management, and business accounting software infused with automated forms, automated document generation that keeps you compliant in a very cost-effective, cloud-enabled, compliant manner. Okay, and we serve Canadian clients, and we're Canadian hosted for our data, and we also charge in Canadian. And you can please check us out at uLawPractice.com, and we do offer a 30-day no obligation trial sign up where we give you a taste for what the product is, the full-fledged product that it. We help you with onboarding, we help you with migration, and if you like, where you feel prudent, we also have a full-fledged bookkeeping service to help you enter all of this data and generate all these documents as well. And that's all there is from the sponsors. I'm going to quickly jump in, and and hopefully you're able to see this on your screen. This is the view of a web-based interface of the uLaw product. Okay? This is 256-bit encrypted. It's hosted in Canadian soil. The data is very much within our servers across Ottawa and Montreal, so very much in Canada. And what you see here is a dashboard. It's almost a landing page for any firm that's signed up with the uLaw product. And you have the 7 menu options on the left-hand side panel, like the 7 days of the week. And each menu option, of course, has a very specific purpose. And it was built with that specific purpose in mind, accomplishing those specifics, but also having the interoperability of working with all other aspects of the business too. For example, the contact's specific purpose is to intake client information as well as add contact information of people or companies that your firm comes across. What the interoperability comes in is once you have that contact information saved, so in this case Ryan Peter, in a specific matter, so let's say John Doe, let us say the contact Ryan Peter that you've added is a party in that file, you can now associate, and this is where the interoperability comes in, an integration between contacts and matters. So you can go to additional parties, add a party, you can make this party a joint retainer, and you can search up for that specific contact that we just saved, Ryan Peter, and associate Ryan now as a party of a joint retainership in the specific matter with Mr. John Doe. So that's where the interoperability between the different menu options come into play, though they have certain default specific aspects for why it was built. So the matters, of course, is where you would docket, disperse, invoice. This is where you would report and enter all of the retainer-related document information, data. This is where you would accept client payments. This is where you do trust transfers. So we're kind of a bit of a heavy traffic screen at it, okay? But where does this come in the context of today's webinar, which is around analytics, data, information, all that gyan that I just gave you the last 15 minutes? It comes in because the data comes from all the data that you enter through these transactions. So the information that we are crunching comes from the data that you provide us. And I want to make sure that I'm straightforward in letting you know that if there's no data in the system, of course, that's going to reflect in poor data insights or poor information that comes out of the system. So a prerequisite for these analytical engines to perform and perform at its best is for you as the legal professional being able to provide accurate, just-in-time data as it pertains to your legal business's transactions on a day-to-day basis. So let's take a quick example. So if you look at the contacts and you've got Ryan Peter, either yourself or someone in your firm really want to understand some analytics about Ryan. You want to understand, all right, what's happening with Ryan? I want to understand insight to Ryan as a client. So it's a question that you're asking. What can uLaw tell me about Ryan Peter? Just the client. Not about his file, none of that. Overall. For every question, and for the question that you're asking us, we've represented that through this question mark across all the screens, especially the contacts and the matters. You would see a question mark that's jumping around even within your matters, and you see that across the contacts too. Okay. This is a starting point. So if you really want to understand insight, really want to question uLaw for what's happening with Ryan Peter, basically click on that question mark. You have some options. You can download this as a report, and everybody does that. Okay, we're going to skip that. You can generate the insights by clicking on the uLaw Insight. This gives you quick snapshots, quick bites of information that you need to know. And you can pause this at any time. So at this particular moment, this invoice, the invoice status for Ryan across all of his matters is that of completed. So you don't have to generate any invoice for Ryan at all. What is the next? But there is a specific invoice for this particular matter, refinance of property, that requires an invoice to be generated. There's no trust transfer pending. These are the total number of matters with pending client payments. And this is the $1 million question. How much of money does Ryan owe me? So Ryan Peter, the client for Mr. Roger Moore, actually owes a total of $2,645. So the bigger question is, were there any partial payments made? Absolutely. So far, you've invoiced this client $3,500. He's paid you $858, and the balance is the $2,600 and on. Now we spoke about the Q&A. So this is where the devil is truly in the detail. And when I click on the Details button, this automatically translates from a snippet information to a Q&A format. So what is the invoice status for a specific matter? How many matters? So here are the top 20 plus questions for which there are answers already provided. Okay? As detailed as it possibly gets. So once again, we went into the question mark, and the button is uLaw Insight, which gives you a quick snippet and byte-based information, which keeps changing every 10 seconds. You can use this toggle to move on to the next snippet of information, or you can basically click Details to kind of give you a Q&A format of information about Ryan. Okay? So this is encompassing all of the matters that Ryan has. So Ryan may have just had one matter, or Ryan may have had 20 matters. This encapsulates them all. A compliance document, which is the fifth avatar of that data, is that of a fee book. And you have that in our compliance button, where it says client fee book, and this is something you're able to download. And the same information is provided to you in this particular format. List the 3 matters that exist and the balance owed across these 3 matters. So you have a Ryan versus Boris matter, you have a Ryan versus Stella, as well as a refinance of a property for $2,645. What is the actionable item in this whole insight? What was meaningful? What was meaningful is that you actually have a single matter that you have not yet invoiced. So when I click on the matter button, you see that this particular matter for $665 worth of disbursement and docket has not been invoiced. And you go ahead and take an action based on that insight that you just received about Ryan Peter. You can, of course, preview, make sure that the bill looks good, you're not making any mistakes. And the preview, of course, will have a great way for you to put a watermark. It tells you the docket that have not yet been included in any invoice, the most recent disbursements. One of the new features allows you to also sign this document. So if you have your signature in a digital format, you can bring that into uLaw, automatically signing all of your important documents. And that's the amount due. So let's go ahead and generate a complete invoice, which truly generates the invoice and the invoice number for you. And once this action has been taken, you're going to notice that the data behind it and the information that you now receive about Ryan is going to change. Because an action, a transaction at it, has actually occurred, and with every new transaction that needs a new nuance to the information. So now when I go back to contacts, let's say now I want to know more about Ryan Peter. I click on this question mark. I go into uLaw Insight. So there are a total of 3 matters now for which there are pending client payments. Previously, there were only 2. And now you could see the client owes me not $2,600, but $3,300. That includes this new matter of $665 that we just generated. Okay? Now let us say that was another transaction that occurred. You generated this invoice, you emailed this to Ryan, and Ryan was like, all right, let me just pay this because, it's a refinance of my house. I want to pay this right away. And there was no trust involved in this. So right away, there's a matter-based information. You can go ahead and say action. But if I want to know specifically what's happening in this matter, let me draw your attention to this question mark. Let's say you visit this matter after 2 weeks, or you've just hired a new assistant, and you ask that assistant to go ahead and generate an invoice, and he comes in and he wants to know more about this matter. He can click on the question mark now to ask uLaw to tell him more about this matter, very specific to this matter only. And this is called the Matter Analytics, very specific to this specific matter of refinance. So what does this tell you? Let me just zoom in a little bit. It tells you so far there's been 1 invoice that has been generated. You can always reprint it. That was generated today, and that's the invoice number. It tells you there was no money deposited into trust and none withdrawn. It tells you an invoice of $665 worth has just been generated, but you've not received any payment. Or at least uLaw does not know of any payment made so far against this invoice. And hence, as of today, as of this moment when you're clicking this question mark, the balance, as of uLaw knows it, is $665. And you want this in a ledger in a compliant format? There you go. Here it is. There's a legal fee of $565. There's a disbursement of $100. And that's how that $665 came about. But there's an option. When the client is ready to pay, or when you've received the payment and when you're ready to tell uLaw that a new transaction has happened, and that transaction is the payment being made, you can report that to uLaw right from here by clicking on Payments. And you could see there are 3 different matters for Ryan Peter, and we actually help you load balance it. So if I put in $665 as my payment, it's automatically associating it with the closest matter to which it matches. You can, of course, reappropriate across matters if you like, for whatever reason, but you are smart enough to reappropriate the amount. You can tell us how he paid us, through a check maybe, and also tell uLaw, where did this money get deposited in real life? Or where do you intend to deposit this money in real life? Give Mr. Ryan a receipt. Of course, if you've integrated with our payment gateways, you can do so by accepting a credit card payment. Or one step further, if you want to facilitate everything being online, given today's day and context and the unfortunate situation that we're in right now, you can basically just add a link to the invoice. Ryan doesn't have to leave his home, or in fact shouldn't, and he can actually make that payment right from the comfort of his home using just his credit card information. So there's many options for how you can enter or how you can tell uLaw about a transaction and enter that data into it. But let me just go ahead with my flow of accepting a check for a payment of $665, and I now have provided uLaw, my bookkeeping system, with brand new information. So there's a new transaction in the house. That's the acceptance of a payment made against that $665 for this particular file, 440576 refinance. Here's my receipt. I can email this right away to my client. Now if I go back to clicking the analytics for this matter, it tells you a slightly different picture, an updated picture added. It tells you the total invoice is reprint. There was no deposit, no withdrawal, so this story remains to be the same. Nothing's changed. But the story has changed a little bit with here. So because the data has changed, and hence the information has changed, which is I did generate an invoice of $665. In fact, that has been paid. When was this paid? It was paid, it was invoiced today and paid today. Very ideal. Not all the time. You would see differences in these 2 dates. Notice you could say it's paid in full. Because if it was paid just partially, then it would be a different status. Click on a ledger for this. There you go. My balance, my general balance is 0. And I have no funds in trust, and the client does not owe me any funds. And if I want specific Q&A based insight about this particular matter, here you go. This is, again, the same format of how we prompted insight, bite-sized information about overall Ryan's matters. This is very specific to this matter only. And if I go into my details, the same set of 20+ questions pertains to only this matter. Of course, you can go ahead and generate specific compliance documents to this matter, right, such as the settlement account. This is now into that 5th avatar, the same data being given to you in a compliance format. 20th March, here's the work done. Title search was done on the 19th. An invoice was generated for legal fees of $500 plus taxes. A disbursement was included along with that same invoice, so 3182, 3182 of $100, no taxes, so there's tax exempt for whatever reason. An invoice was paid through this check of $665, leaving my balance, invoice balance, at 0. So this is a Law Society compliant document called a settlement account, and you can in fact you should mail this along with any closing of this matter. With any closing letter, we have clients including the settlement account. But if you're just looking for quick information on your phone or just specific information about a matter, question mark is the way to go. That's going to give you the insight. That's going to give you all the analytics. Now with this new payment coming in, if I go back to that same question mark for Ryan Peter, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. You see the client owes me 2645, so it's reduced that 665 off of that. Okay? Fantastic. So we've looked at what the analytics engine can provide at an overall client level. We looked at what the question mark analytical engine can provide at the specific matter level. So this question mark would change if I change the matter. So if I go into my Ryan versus Boris matter, and if I click on the same question mark, this is going to give me a very different set of analytics. It tells me that there's no deposit in trust. An invoice was raised for $2,000. Let me just zoom this in. There's a balance of 20 AT. This is for an invoice that was raised on the 17th of Jan, and this payment has not yet come through. So, a click of a button, you're able to analyze information pertaining to the specific context. You can see this involves trust. It tells you there was a deposit of $1,300 into trust. All of that has been withdrawn. When did that happen? Last year in 2019. And in addition to that, an invoice was generated for $1,423. Only partial was paid of $858, and that's the balance left of $565 as of today. And it's been over 120 days since this amount has been paid. Okay? So the question mark is your friend. It's your way of asking uLaw to give you insight about the specific context in which you're clicking it. Now, just for fun's sake, I'm going to transfer control into my mobile app. Okay? So that you understand it's not just a web browser of it. The same piece of information can be consumed right from your mobile app. So in a downtime such as today, you don't even have to open your laptop. You can just log in right from your phone or your iPad, whatever, right? So I'm going to quickly pass my presenter role into my app that I have. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm logged in. Let me resize this. Okay, there you go. This is better. Let me log back in into the Roger Moore. So you can download this from your iOS. I'm using a Samsung phone, so it's going to be my Android app. I'm going to say, and I sign in. It starts with my client information. In fact, I can click search, and I can search up Ryan. Oh, like that. There you go. There's Ryan Peter. I'm going to choose Ryan Peter. In fact, uLaw allows you to even dial Ryan Peter's information right from the phone. But you see there's a question mark here as well. Just kind of continuing with that same thought process so that it's easier user experience. I'm going to click on this question mark. The same insight in a different format. Right? This is more specific to the format of an app. The same information though. 2645. Same in a different format. Now I'm going to click on this briefcase and it jumps right into the different matters that I have for Ryan Peter. Of course, I'm sure you appreciate that right from the phone you can be able to docket specific to this matter as well. But if I go into the refinance of the property, here's all of the information that you need. I can add a docket, import a docket, all of that. Okay? Just wanted to show you that the same information is now available to you. Now you look at, apart from contact, apart from matters, there's accounts. The accounts is, I would say, a combination of legal accounting piece of information as well as business accounting. So if you truly want to understand quick insight into your pooled trust account, I would go ahead and click it. And it would generate to me all of the data entry for the quarter. Of course, in this account, there's not been much journal entries. Let me go into a different account. I guess not, but I'm sure there's, there we go. So all the retainers, the reds and greens. So any green, the 1,500 is money coming into this account. I can click on it. It says clearly what it is. So that's an insight. Any disbursement paid out of trust. So this was an other payout for, I'm sure, a real estate matter of $400,000 leaving the trust account. And you can also change the insight based on a date range. For what date range are you looking for information? And you can do that for your general accounts, right? Really, it's pretty much just a list of all your accounts, really. But what's important is, again, you have a question mark right here. I'm going to click that. Now, this is analytics, which is a combination of accounting information pertaining to a client, which is all the legal accounting aspects, client matter related. And when I click that, I have all these options. Capital investments, drawings, expense chart. I want to know fee book chart by category. So I want to really know where am I making my revenue? And for the entire year, where have I made money? What category? Maybe I'm a lawyer and I do real estate, I do wills, I also do family. So clearly you can see I can increase this, and it's going to increase the number of wheels that I have, but I'm going to stick to 5 for now. And it clearly tells you that 30% came from miscellaneous, I don't know what that is, but 21% came from small claims. About 20% came from landlord and tenant. About 16% came from immigration, and about 10% came from speeding. So it's a bit of a variety at it. I can have a tabular version of it. So these are what we call candles. You can call them whatever you like. Here are the top 6 candles of where you're making money. Or you could have, as I mentioned, the tabular version of it. The top 6 areas where you're making money. And of course, you can have a quick understanding of where you're making your money. Similarly, if you want to understand what are all the work in progress or unbilled hours that I've got so far. So let's say you've docketed a lot of effort, but you've not yet generated an invoice for certain matters. This is a great piece of information to have. In fact, you should not be doing this over a year. Hopefully you're doing this on a weekly basis so that you're always catching up. Of course, this is a test database, so you're going to have a lot of information. It's going to crunch the entire year for, all right, let's allow this user. But here are all the matters for which you've not yet invoiced. You've not yet billed. Paralegal work, John versus Dana. I'm sure you get the point. One last thing before I stop boring you with this. One of my favorite is my expense book by category. So you see expense charts by category. I'm going to go ahead and say, all right, give me my expense chart by category for this particular year. I can do this for this week. And you can see for this week, all I've got is 91% came from rent, 8% was expenses on client account, which is really great because that's the recoverable expense of disbursements that you've paid. You can go into that. You can see that $67 is what you paid. $700 was your rent for this particular week of expenses. Now I'm going to show you. So this is all consuming right on your app, okay? So hopefully I can show you something cooler than this. And I'm going to go back into my web version. And please tell me that you're able to see the screen using the chat window. Hopefully you're able to see my screen back to my browser version, which is a more full-fledged version of it. And you see the same concept of analytics is available in the full-fledged version. The beauty of the web version, though, is it's the same data, but we give you the capability to do a comparison of the same data across date ranges. So it gives you a totally different perspective of how you appreciate that data. So let me give you an example. Let's say I want to know my fee book by category, and I want to do this for the month of March, but for last year. So I really want to know what was my revenue like last year at this very time. Last year, of course, we didn't have the corona problem, and hence I'm assuming it's a different story. So here's a pie chart. I can actually center this. I could say, 32% came from small claims, 25% came from family law, 18% from criminal. Okay? All right, let me zoom back in. So let me go ahead and keep that data available to me. So, all right. Now I want to compare this. So that's how you can help grow yourself. It's not that comparing yourself with others, but comparing yourself with yourself and how you've improved over time, right? That's pretty philosophical, but I hope you can take it. Fee book chart by category. And I'm going to say for this month, for this particular year. So let's say I had a target that I really wanted to improve upon the real estate, practice area, if you will. Last year, I had no revenue same time in real estate. Whereas this year, okay, let me zoom it for those who can see it. You could see the comparisons side by side. My real estate for last year was nothing, whereas this year is the second in line, or in fact, yes, it's second in line at 30%, just next to small claims. And you could see my revenue for small claims last year was $5,200. This year so far it's only been $1,200. So you can certainly see the dip in the overall revenue. But my real estate transactions have improved. This is something that you can do on the browser version. Now you can also compare the expenses. So what was my expense by category for the month of March in 2019? Because, at the end of the day, it's not the revenue, it's the profit and loss that matters. Expense chart by category for this month. And you can have the same tabular version of it. You can have the pie chart. You can have all of that. And we have this little X mark to zoom it in. So you have a zoom effect. So 47% of my expense in the month of March last year went towards printing and stationery. And it's funny enough, it's been the same this year around too. So it's about 47% for printing and stationery. And it's about 47% for printing and stationery last year. What a coincidence, right? So now you have data. You can consume it on your mobile phone, specific to a specific time, date range. You can also use the same analytics and compare it with date ranges from the past so that you can plan your future. You can set goals. Overall, we give you insight meaningful to your business. Another great piece of information, profit and loss insight. What was it like same time around last year? What is it this year? Okay, so that's your income, that's your expense statement. Oh, that's a lot of expense. Something was wrong there. Okay, so now you start to digress. You start to take this piece of information and apply it to how you can be better at it in the next month. You can start to see trends. You can compare data. How did it improve from March to April as you get into the summer months maybe? You could start to really capture the trend and the hygiene of your overall legal business. And that's the value of the analytics, is to give you your same data that you have entered into the system as those transactions occurred, convert them into meaningful information in a consumable manner in 5 different formats, including Law Society compliance, as well as a simple mobile app version, and overall making it easier for you to make informed, smart business decisions. Okay? If you want further detail beyond the analytics, you could certainly do that. So let's say you have the unbilled hours by matter. Okay? And it gives you, of course, a very top level view of things. But if you wanted a deeper dive report that you can print, and maybe you're the person who is not as, who needs a printed document to see all this information, you could certainly do that in uLaw. That's one of the questions that we've just received, is how do we generate a report pertaining to this data set? That's a great question. So it's really understanding where you go to generate that. So for example, in our quick view, and hopefully I'll just answer the specific question because it came about. All right. I'm going to say document generation is where you have all your reports. And it's kind of hidden under quick view, but you do have your work in progress and your work in progress disbursement. Work in progress is for your dockets, your legal dockets. So let me go ahead and click that. I'm going to say for the month of March, I'm going to download it. So anytime you download a document in uLaw, it generates it in a PDF document, unless you specifically mention it to be a Word document, of course. And you can generate the actual PDF that would give you all of that information, which you otherwise view here. Unbilled hours by. Okay. So this is kind of a high-level visual view of things. Quick snippet. Then if you want a printable version of that same data, here it is. So purchase of a home is a matter, it's work in progress. You have not yet billed $300 worth of work that you've docketed. There's a purchase of a house, you've docketed worth of $3,750, you've not yet generated an invoice. Again, this is not just any data. This is meaningful data that you can take action on to make money. We're telling you can make $4,600 worth of money right now by just doing the next legal, logical step of invoicing this client. And the same thing here. You see this here? Same 14 items is what we show you. Purchase of home, test matter, all of that. So hopefully that answered that question. All right, so pretty much that's all we wanted to cover in today's webinar, is to truly give you an insight to our analytics engine, coupled with of course, our reporting engine that gives you the Law Society compliance and documents in this PDF format. But more importantly, we're able to give you the analytical engine for you to assess the information about your own firm, both on a mobile app as well as a web version, which both has its own pros and cons, and gives you the ability of a large law firm to be able to take action on those meaningful data sets of information that we've presented about your business. Okay? I will now stop right here and take any questions, further questions that the audience may have who have joined me today. Another common question we get asked is, of course, about the recording of the webinar. It will be recorded. It will be made available to you as early as Monday next week. But once again, we do encourage you to subscribe to the uLawPractice YouTube channel so that we can be notified anytime we have these such sessions, as well as specific CPD sessions that we run on a regular basis every month. And that's where you also have training videos for any new features that we may have added, specific around this new feature we added around personalizing your signature. That allows you to add a digital signature, of course, into all of your documents. So please do check us out on our YouTube channel. So with that, I'll pause and I'll take any questions that you may have for today. Thank you. Okay, the question is, where did you click to get the insight for the contact? Okay, so for those who may have joined us a bit late, I will refresh your memory that anytime you want to have more information about a specific client, you would click under the client's information. So let's say you want to know more about Johnny Walker. You would click on the question mark and click on uLaw Insight. So this is everything to do about this client. And it aggregates all of the information that you have about this client across matters. Okay, so this is a top view across all matters. And the details is what gives you the Q&A format. But if you click on the matter button for that client, it's going to take you right into, and you can see, you know right away that this client only has one matter. Because if you had multiple matters, it would show up here, and also it would show a number next to the name, such as Ryan. Right? So for Ryan Peter, you would have noticed, let me choose Ryan. If I go into matter, you're going to see this matter change to Ryan Peter and the number 3 next to it, which indicates there are 3 matters pertaining to this client. Okay? So if I go back to my Johnny Walker example, and hopefully this helps answer your question, the question mark at the client level gives you the overall view of this client. So this client owes us, or the firm, $13. Okay? Not that he's not paid. You've invoiced him $29.88, and he's paid you $29.75. And have $1,600 of trust funds, which you've withdrawn, which is great. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you want further insight as to when it happened, the specifics within that matter, and of course, this was archived. Could have been for demo purposes. But ideally, you archive a matter when you've completed it, and you're not going to go back into that matter for a long time. That information is still stored, is still made available in conflict checks, but it's just not acted upon. So if I click on the question mark now, within the matter, this gives you the insight more specific to the matter itself. So you had 1,600 being deposited, and hopefully this answers that question, right? Gives you that insight into this matter right away, even though you never knew this matter. Last deposit date was October 2019. Right away, it was withdrawn, or in a couple of weeks. And then there was 29.88. That's the balance of $13. And now what you can do is you can just say, all right, I've had enough. I'm going to just write it off. I'm going to write off that $13. And you would see that the projected balance is 0. And now if I go back to Johnny Walker, and let's say I do the same question mark, you can see the total invoice balance is 0. Okay? So it's the question mark that you get started with. Okay, the next question is around the report. Now it comes down to what kind of report you're looking to generate. You can generate all sorts of reports. In general, under document generation, you have a category called reports. So in quick view, you have document generation and reports. In matters, you have document generation right here. And the same thing, usual suspects, you have reports. So it's all within the context of this menu option. These are all reports pertaining to the matters, and this specific matter to be very specific. Likewise, if you go under accounts, you have reports that are accounting related under document generation. So it really comes down to what report you're looking to generate. That same piece of information, fee book, you can generate that right from here. But if you wanted to generate a fee book specific to a client, you would go into that client, and because it's a compliance document, you click compliance, and you would see the client fee book right here. And by generating that, you would generate a printable report, if you will. It gives you all the insights. Okay? All right, if there aren't any more questions, I thank you everyone for joining us today for this webinar. Once again, I hope this was an informational session. It will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel. We do certainly want to share the sentiment of being safe, being smart, as we're coming together after a very long time as human beings together through this unfortunate crisis that we're all going through, the coronavirus, the COVID-19. So stay safe, stay smart, make smart decisions, and I'm sure we'll come out of this successful. We just have to stay patient. So have a great weekend, and all the very best for a lot of binge watching.